There was always a concern about how people would receive the X300 internally, especially from marketing. Initial studies showed limited success of the product, and others say it was a halo product that would attract others to the brand. Richard Sapper, one of the lead designers behind ThinkPad, remembers this about the X300.
My reaction to that was, I think, the same as everybody's reaction. This thing is, compared to other computers, so flat and so thin that it just shocks you. At the same time, it maintains the ThinkPad philosophy of a square box, but in an extremely thin proportion. This is certainly a striking appearance.
Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Laptop Retrospective. Today we will be talking about the reception that the X300 received when it was released to the global market. To start our story off, we're actually going to be discussing the MacBook Air. As you may know, the MacBook Air was released at a very similar time as the X300. In fact, some of them share some very important dates with one another. January 15th was the Sales and Marketing Readiness Review for the X300. While the meeting went well and the project got approved, hours later on the same day, Steve Jobs announced to the world the thinnest notebook, the MacBook Air. Jobs at Macworld Conference in San Francisco pulled the Air out of an inter-office envelope, which became one of the most infamous commercials that Apple has ever produced. Peter Hortensius, after hearing about this, frantically found an inter-office envelope and found one of the prototypes to see if it would fit in it. There was so much relief that the laptop fit into the envelope that a commercial was made showcasing this feature. The commercial also featured all of the accessories that would be required to make the MacBook Air equal to the ThinkPad X300 being stuffed into the same envelope with disastrous results. It was quite clear moving forward that these two machines would be competitors in various circles, due to their similar specifications, and both trying to achieve this idea of thin and light in the laptop market. While the X300 was not setting out to be thin, Lenovo knew that the comparisons would be made. It was ironic that the X300 was actually lighter than the Air with a 3-cell battery, and had comparable battery life. Most people weren't even aware that the X300 existed when the Air was announced. On January 8th, however, there was a leaked photo on a Chinese website, but it did not circulate, and there wasn't a whole lot of buzz generated from it. 3 days after the Air was announced, Gizmodo found their own leak of the X300, and the internet exploded. Lenovo might not have liked their product leaking, but it gave them some excellent exposure. David Hill very much remembers the comparisons that were drawn between the ThinkPad X300 and the MacBook Air, and in fact thought that it was an excellent opportunity for the X300 to prove itself all the more.
And it was a fantastic product, I think. And the timing, actually, I liked it. You know, it was compared to the MacBook Air by a lot of people, but I think it was... in many ways, it was more significant, I think, than the MacBook Air, because it was a real computer. We didn't make it thinner and lighter by throwing things overboard. We made it thinner and lighter by using all kinds of innovative technologies. Totally different. You know, it had an optical drive built into it. It goes on and on and on. Sometimes we get these weird comparisons in the media. I remember reading a review and somebody said, I can't believe that Lenovo saw the MacBook Air and immediately copied it and released this ThinkPad X300. And I'm like, somebody get on the phone and tell this person that it takes a year to develop something like this. We don't make a laptop in an hour and a half.
Other interesting things to note about 2008 is that Lenovo was actually a sponsor of the Beijing Olympics. Lenovo ended up designing the torch and outfitted all the members of the torchbearer entourage with X300 laptops. The X300 and other machines were also featured heavily in commercials. The X300 fared well against the MacBook Air and became a note of pride for Lenovo to have gone unexpectedly and unplanned against Apple and didn't lose face. Lenovo also benefited from reviewers posting favorable comments online. There were a few universally agreed upon drawbacks of the machine, such as the small drive size and the price, but people seemed to understand why things were the way they were. Notebook Review said, the ThinkPad X300 is much more practical than the pretty but port-challenged MacBook Air, and so the X300 gets the editor's choice recommendation that we couldn't rationalize giving to the MacBook Air. Bravo to Lenovo, and we hope that they push this 13.3-inch slim form factor more and find more ways to bring the pricing down. Digital Trends said, while Apple had to make a number of compromises on the Air to get it down to its remarkable size, Lenovo took the opposite approach and have crammed as many features as possible, including an optical drive, into the X300. It's an expensive notebook because, unlike the Air, it comes with a solid-state 64GB hard drive standard. PC World Australia also said, the ThinkPad X300 is not a cheap notebook, but it only costs the sum of its components it offers. So you're getting what you pay for. The SSD and 3G features make this a great world warrior, and Lenovo ThinkPad's design leaves us confident it will take a few knocks. Businessweek gave the X300 the cover story for the February 2008 issue, and it had an article written by Steve Hamm, who would later write The Race to Perfect, as he had the inside scoop to the development of the laptop. Lots of information for this video came from this comprehensive book. The Guardian at the time commented on Businessweek's cover choice saying, Lenovo is obviously aware of Apple's MacBook Air and mentions that the X300 also fits inside a plain manila envelope. It will be interesting to see how the two products fare because the X300 has a much better specification and fewer compromises. The MacBook Air wins as an exercise in thinness, but it's a bit like lowering the height of a Porsche by fitting wheels off of a scooter. David Hill remembers fondly the release of the X300.
It was what we hoped for. It was what we were striving to achieve. That wow, these people at Lenovo, they're not stupid. they didn't ruin ThinkPad. They made it better. They made the best ThinkPad I've ever seen. I mean, that is exactly the reaction that we wanted to get. And it was really rewarding to see that, in the cover story in the Business Week magazine. That was not a shoe-in, by the way, by any stretch of the imagination. I remember talking to Steve Hamm about it. And I said, so are we going to get the cover? And he said, I don't know, Dave. It depends on world events. If something goofy happens in the Middle East, or the president gets shot, or somebody famous dies, no. But if everything goes as planned, yeah, it's the cover story. Wow, that's amazing. So it was kind of the perfect storm. We got really what we wanted, and even though that happened, it's still a little surprising. That it did happen, because it's like, wow, I can't believe it. It's our dreams basically came true, and we sold a lot of those things, a whole lot. People still talk about it. I mean, we're talking about it right now. But it was definitely a successful program. It was not a we broke even on this, or well, let's factor in the advertising value and we broke even. It was not. It was successful from a business perspective, definitely.
The ThinkPad X300 was a revolutionary product that pushed what people thought a thin laptop had to be. The X301, which was released later in August, was a technical update to the original, including faster CPUs and DDR3 style RAM, including a DisplayPort. The X301 would be made until the year 2010, when it was finally discontinued. This computer would pave the way for a number of innovative products and solutions that Lenovo would add to the ThinkPad line, and, as we'll learn next time, will lead to the creation of the X1 Carbon. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Project Kodachi. I've truly appreciated your support. If you enjoy this sort of content and would like to see more, I'm going to encourage you to do the big four. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified the next time that an episode of Project Kodachi is released. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.